Fame, glamour, red carpets, millions of fans. To the outside world, Zendaya seems untouchable, a Hollywood icon with a golden heart and a flawless image. But behind the spotlight, even the brightest stars can be scarred by betrayal. For years, she stood by her best friend's side, loyal, kind, trusting. Their bond looked unbreakable, a sisterhood built on shared dreams, private moments, and unconditional support. But what if the person you trusted the most turns out to be the one who betrays you? What happens when loyalty is replaced by lies, and friendship is used as a stepping stone for personal gain? Zendaya's world was shaken. What started as small red flags soon became impossible to ignore. Leaked conversations, questionable behavior, and public disrespect from someone she once called family. This isn't just a story about broken trust. It's a warning, a glimpse into the harsh reality of fame, where even the closest relationships can crumble under pressure. Today, we reveal what really happened between Zendaya and her former best friend, and why their fallout shocked millions. This is the story of how Zendaya was betrayed. Zendaya Marie Stormer Coleman, known to the world simply as Zendaya, is far more than just a Hollywood star. She is an actress, singer, fashion icon, producer, activist, and a voice for a generation that craves authenticity in a world of filters and facades. Born on September 1st, 1996, in Oakland, California, Zendaya was raised by two educators, her mother, Claire Stormer, and her father, Kazembe Ajimo. With African-American, German, and Scottish heritage, she grew up with a rich cultural background and a deep understanding of identity and self-expression. From an early age, Zendaya was drawn to the arts. She began performing in local theaters and dance groups, finding confidence in movement, rhythm, and the emotional power of performance. But it wasn't until her breakout role on the Disney Channel show Shake It Up in 2010 that the world first saw a glimpse of the star she would become. Even as a teen, she stood out not just because of her talent, but because of her poise, maturity, and unwavering sense of self. While many young stars struggle to find their footing, Zendaya carved her own path, rejecting the typical child star mold and pushing herself to evolve. After her Disney years, Zendaya made a bold shift, refusing to be typecast. She stunned critics and audiences alike with her raw, vulnerable performance as Rue Bennett in HBO's Euphoria, a troubled, complex teenager battling addiction, trauma, and the chaos of growing up in the modern world. The role earned her multiple awards, including 2 Emmy Awards, making her the youngest woman to win Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series twice. But Zendaya's influence doesn't stop at acting. She's used her platform to speak out about racial justice, body positivity, and representation in media. She's unapologetically herself, calling out injustice, lifting up others, and staying grounded in an industry known for ego and excess. She's also a force in fashion, often hailed as one of the most stylish women in the world. Whether she's rocking vintage Valentino at the Oscars or redefining Met Gala red carpets, Zendaya brings intention, creativity, and cultural commentary to every outfit. She doesn't just wear clothes, she tells stories with them. Despite her fame, Zendaya remains incredibly private. She doesn't chase attention, she protects her peace. She's rarely involved in scandals. That's why when someone manages to hurt her on a personal level, especially someone close, the world takes notice. Because Zendaya is the kind of person who leads with heart, loyalty, and quiet strength. She surrounds herself with people she trusts deeply. Her circle is small, her standards are high, and her integrity is unwavering. So when someone breaks that trust, it's not just gossip, it's personal. This is the woman at the center of our story. A woman who rose from humble beginnings to global stardom. A woman who defied every stereotype thrown her way. A woman who doesn't need drama to stay relevant, because her talent, character, and light speak for themselves. This is Zendaya. Every superstar has a circle, people who've been there through it all. Not the managers or stylists, not the fans or co-stars, but the few who knew them before the fame and stayed through the chaos. For Zendaya, one of those people was her best friend. They met long before the betrayal. Back when Zendaya was still transitioning from Disney Channel darling to a serious, respected actress. The world was watching her, analyzing every move, but in this one person, she found something rare. Someone who didn't treat her like a celebrity. Someone who made her laugh until she cried. Someone who felt safe. Her name? While we won't focus on real names for privacy and clarity, she was known to many fans through social media appearances, behind-the-scenes content, and candid moments. She wasn't just someone in Zendaya's orbit. She was the person, the one always next to her at events, hugging her backstage, showing up in heartfelt birthday posts and silly TikToks. Their friendship looked real, deep, and unshakable. They had matching inside jokes, swapped clothes, went on trips together. Whether it was red carpet glitz or quiet nights with no makeup, they seemed to understand each other on a soul level. In a world full of cameras and critics, this was the one person Zendaya could just be herself with. Fans loved their bond. Entire threads and edits were dedicated to their moments, laughing during interviews, giving each other knowing looks, standing side by side during tough times. It wasn't performative. It wasn't for clout. It felt honest. They grew together, professionally and personally. While Zendaya's fame skyrocketed, she kept her friend close. She brought her into the fold, invited her into spaces few had access to. She trusted her. She confided in her. She believed in her. But here's the thing about deep trust. When it breaks, it cuts much deeper. The story of this friendship isn't just about two girls supporting each other in a demanding industry. It's about how vulnerability can be weaponized, and how even the most genuine love can be turned against you by someone who forgets its value. Before the headlines, before the rumors, before the cold stares and silent unfollows, there was a friendship that looked unbreakable. This is how it began. Two souls finding each other in the noise. Two young women lifting each other up. Two best friends, until everything changed. For a long time, everything seemed perfect, or at least close to it. Zendaya and her best friend appeared inseparable. They were constantly seen together, laughing behind the scenes at events, supporting each other on social media, exchanging heartfelt messages and inside jokes. To the public, they weren't just best friends, they were chosen family. But beneath the polished surface, something was shifting. It didn't happen overnight. Like most betrayals, it started small. Subtle changes. Moments you wouldn't even notice unless you were really looking. Zendaya, known for her emotional intelligence and quiet presence, began pulling back. She stopped tagging her friend in posts as often. They were no longer photographed side by side at the same events. There were no shared stories, no birthday messages. Just silence. At first, fans brushed it off. People grow apart. Maybe they were just busy. Zendaya was filming Dune and promoting Euphoria. Life gets hectic. But then the rumors started. It began with a leak, a private text thread that mysteriously surfaced online. In it, Zendaya had allegedly confided something personal, something emotional, and that information was suddenly being whispered in all the wrong places. No names were used, but the context made it clear. Someone from inside her circle had spoken out. Then came the second blow. A podcast appearance, casual, seemingly innocent, where her friend, without naming Zendaya directly, hinted at someone close who changed after getting famous. She laughed it off, but the tone was sharp, jealous, passive-aggressive. Fans immediately caught on. Subreddit threads lit up. TikTok theories exploded. People started putting the pieces together. Screenshots emerged of the friend responding to DMs about Zendaya, liking shady tweets, and even following gossip pages that regularly critiqued her. It wasn't just careless, it was intentional. A quiet, strategic campaign of disrespect. But perhaps the most painful moment came when Zendaya found out that her friend had been trying to leverage their friendship for opportunities. Private photos and stories were shared with people in the industry. Personal details about her relationship, her family, her mental health were whispered to journalists and influencers, wrapped in the guise of off-the-record talk. Zendaya, who is famously guarded and loyal, was devastated. This wasn't just gossip. This was betrayal. Behind the scenes, Zendaya confronted her, not with drama or rage, but with calm clarity. She asked the hard questions. She gave her the chance to be honest. But the answers didn't come, or worse, they came wrapped in denial and excuses. The friendship didn't end with a scream. It ended with silence, distance, and heartbreak. Unfollowing came next, quiet but loud. Zendaya, who rarely speaks out publicly about private matters, didn't issue any statements. She didn't name names. She didn't engage in the drama, but her actions said enough. Photos were deleted, tags removed, events attended alone. Fans took notice. Why did Zendaya stop hanging out with her? Became one of the most searched questions on gossip sites. Some blamed the friend. Others speculated deeper reasons. But one thing was clear. Trust had been broken, and there was no coming back. What made it worse was how the friend responded, or didn't. Instead of apologizing, she leaned into the attention. Cryptic captions, vague quotes about loyalty and fame, collaborations with people known for drama. It became clear that what once was love had turned into leverage. And for Zendaya, it was yet another reminder of the cost of fame. No matter how kind you are, no matter how private you try to be, when you shine, someone will always try to stand in your light, even if it means dimming yours in the process. This wasn't just the end of a friendship. It was the collapse of a bond that was once built on trust, shared struggle, and sisterhood. And for someone like Zendaya, who chooses her circle carefully, who protects her peace, the emotional weight of that betrayal hit deeper than any tabloid headline ever could. So, what happened? A friendship died. Not in flames, but in whispers, in likes, in leaks, in lies. And Zendaya, heartbroken but graceful, walked away. When the silence became loud, when the unfollows, missing photos, and cryptic posts could no longer be ignored, the world started talking. And once the internet caught the scent of drama, the story exploded far beyond what anyone could control. At first, fans were confused. Where is she? Why aren't they hanging out anymore? Did they have a falling out? These were the questions that started flooding comment sections, Reddit threads, and TikTok captions. People began noticing the subtle signs. Birthday posts that didn't come, old photos quietly disappearing from Instagram, Zendaya attending events solo, where her best friend would have once been right beside her. But confusion quickly turned into speculation, and speculation into obsession. Social media became the investigation ground. Fans went full detective mode, analyzing interactions, comparing timelines, and digging through old interviews and social media clues. TikTokers posted side-by-side videos showing the gradual breakdown of the friendship, once warm and full of inside jokes, now cold and awkwardly distant. Reddit threads detailed the timeline of the fallout down to specific days and captions. Some even went as far as decoding outfits and emojis. Then came the podcast clips, the screenshots, and the tweets. The subtle digs from the friend. The likes on shady posts. The carefully worded, no names mentioned moments that were clearly about Zendaya. The fan base took it personally, because Zendaya wasn't just a celebrity to them. She was a symbol of grace, privacy, and loyalty in a world that often lacked all three. Support poured in. Hashtags like hashtag We Love You Zendaya and hashtag She Deserved Better trended across platforms. Fans posted heartfelt messages, videos, and edits showing Zendaya's kindness, her professionalism, and her history of uplifting others. They reminded the world of how rare it is to see someone navigate fame with so much quiet dignity, and how painful it must have been to have someone inside her circle turn that against her. The media, of course, picked it up fast. Entertainment sites ran headlines like, Zendaya's mysterious friendship fallout. What really happened? From besties to silence. The end of a sisterhood. Zendaya unfollows longtime friend amid leaked DMs. Paparazzi started hounding her for reactions. Cameras zoomed in on her face at every red carpet, searching for signs of tension or sadness. But true to her nature, Zendaya said nothing. Not a word. Her silence became its own kind of statement, not weakness, but wisdom. While others posted vague quotes and sought attention, she stayed grounded, letting the truth speak for itself through her actions. The contrast only intensified the reaction. Fans admired her even more, while the former friend, once beloved by association, started facing a wave of backlash. People accused her of chasing relevance, clout chasing, and exploiting Zendaya's trust for personal gain. Her follower count dropped. Brands distanced themselves. The narrative shifted, and she became the villain in a story no one expected to unfold. But even in all the noise, there was heartbreak. Because this wasn't just a tabloid feud. It wasn't just another Hollywood falling out. It was about loyalty, about pain, about the invisible wounds that come from being betrayed by someone you loved and protected. The fans felt that. They carried Zendaya's silence with them like it was sacred. They defended her, stood by her, and reminded the world that being kind doesn't mean being naive, and that protecting your peace sometimes means walking away without explanation. In the end, the internet may never know every detail. The texts will remain private. The real conversations will stay behind closed doors. But one thing is clear. Zendaya didn't lose a friend. She removed someone who no longer honored her trust. And the world, especially her fans, noticed. The betrayal may have happened quietly, but its impact has echoed far beyond a single friendship. For Zendaya, someone who values authenticity, loyalty, and emotional safety, the fallout wasn't just a painful personal experience. It was a moment of transformation. Today, Zendaya appears stronger, wiser, and more self-contained than ever. But make no mistake, she didn't emerge from this untouched. The end of that friendship left invisible scars. It reminded her and the world that even in a life filled with glamour, success, and public adoration, the deepest wounds are often the most private. Since the betrayal, Zendaya has become noticeably more selective about who she lets into her inner circle. She always valued privacy, but now she guards it like a fortress. Interviews are more controlled. Personal life, off limits. Her social media presence is intentional, curated, and focused on her work, her values, and moments that matter. The casual, behind-the-scenes glimpses into her friendships, those have all but disappeared. This shift isn't bitterness, it's self-protection. After watching someone she trusted use that trust for attention, Zendaya learned to move in silence. Her actions now reflect someone who has endured something quietly painful, and emerged with her dignity, boundaries, and grace intact. Professionally, she's more powerful than ever. From Dune to Challengers to producing and directing, Zendaya is stepping into roles that give her full creative control. She's no longer just a performer. She's a force behind the camera too. Some would say the betrayal pushed her to retreat, but others would argue it propelled her forward, sharpening her focus and reminding her who she is when all the noise fades away. And emotionally, she's grown. People often forget that Zendaya is still young. The world watched her grow up in the spotlight, but she's still navigating love, friendships, trust, and identity, just like anyone else. This betrayal served as a painful but powerful lesson. Not everyone who claps for you is cheering for you. Not everyone who calls you family has your best interests at heart. Sometimes the people closest to you hurt you the most, not out of hate, but out of envy, ego, or carelessness. Zendaya has not spoken publicly about what happened, not directly, but she's hinted at themes of betrayal, loyalty, and protecting her energy in subtle ways. In interviews, she speaks often about boundaries, about learning who really deserves access to her peace, about knowing when to let go. And while she may never tell the full story, not in a tweet, not in a podcast, not even in a memoir someday, her silence speaks volumes. It's the silence of a woman who has nothing to prove. A woman who chooses healing over revenge, growth over gossip. Her fans notice the change. They see it in her eyes, in her presence, in the way she carries herself. More poised, more thoughtful, more powerful. Zendaya isn't just reacting to what happened. She's evolving because of it. Not bitter, just better. So how does this affect Zendaya today? It taught her who she is and who she's not. It reminded her of what truly matters: peace, purpose, and self-respect. And it made her even more committed to protecting her soul in a world that's always watching, always wanting more. Because at the end of the day, Zendaya may have lost a friend, but she gained clarity, and that clarity has become her quiet, unshakable strength. In the world of fame, where everything is watched, recorded, posted, and shared, true friendship can be rare. And when betrayal strikes from within, it doesn't just hurt, it reshapes you. Zendaya's story is not just about a broken friendship. It's about trust given and trust lost. About how even someone as grounded, thoughtful, and self-protective as Zendaya can be blindsided by the very person she once called family. But it's also about resilience, the quiet kind. The kind you don't announce with a statement or a scandal, but with silence, distance, and undeniable growth. She didn't clap back. She didn't play victim. She didn't need revenge. She needed peace, and she found it on her own terms. In many ways, this story is a mirror, a reminder that betrayal isn't just a Hollywood plotline. It's something everyone, no matter how famous or powerful, can experience. We've all trusted someone we shouldn't have. We've all ignored red flags out of love. We've all felt the ache of realizing someone we'd fight for wouldn't do the same for us. But what sets people apart is how they choose to rise from it. Zendaya didn't just rise, she transformed. She took the pain and turned it into a lesson. She took the silence and turned it into strength. She didn't let it make her cold. She let it make her clear. Clear about who belongs in her life. Clear about how to protect her boundaries. Clear about what it means to love without losing yourself. Her story teaches us that healing doesn't always look like closure. Sometimes it looks like walking away, quietly, fully, without needing the last word. And while we may never know every detail of what happened behind closed doors, the leaked messages, the podcast jabs, the manipulation, what we do know is this: Zendaya remained true to herself. And in a world that thrives on chaos, That is the boldest act of all. So, what can we take from all this? We learn that even the most put together, composed, and admired people are still human. That no amount of red carpet appearances or magazine covers can shield someone from the pain of being betrayed. That success doesn't protect you from being hurt by someone you love. But we also learn that true strength isn't in revenge. It's in rebuilding, in protecting your peace, in choosing grace over drama, in knowing when to let go. Zendaya didn't lose anything. She gained clarity. She gained freedom. And most of all, she gained herself untouched, undiminished, and unapologetically whole. So the next time you find yourself wondering what happened, why they're no longer friends, why the energy changed, why the laughter faded, remember this. It's not always about who said what or who hurt who. Sometimes it's simply about choosing yourself. And that is what Zendaya did. You're one of us. Stay curious, stay brave. Like, subscribe, and never miss a twist.